Okay. Um. So let's start. I'm going to open my Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. Okay. I'm going to open it now. And once it's open, I'm going to put it where you can see it. I'll put it on the other screen so that you can see it.
Is it called Azure?
No, it's not Azure.
Which one is it? I can't quite work out which one it is.
SQL. Just
Yeah,
check
I'm on the Microsoft website and I've typed in SQL and it's got 3 different ones. It's got SQL Server on Azure and then SQL Server on premises.
On premise.
Oh, SQL Server Express, that's the one.
Thank you, SQL Server
Yeah,
Express.
I paged down a bit further. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that is it, SQL Server Express. Okay, so let me put this here so that you can see what it looks. Oh, da 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 da. I really wish you can see this, but it's just interesting that it's on another screen. Anyway, so let me go in.
Yeah, you can only see your hands-on lab slide at the moment.
Yeah, so can you see the screen now? Can you see?
That's better. Yeah, I can see you dragging.
Okay, so what happened initially is I wanted you to see how I sign up to it, but then for some reason it did not allow me to push that onto this other screen. But don't worry. Now that I have this here, we could continue. Okay. So this is the SQL Server Management Studio. This SQL Server Management Studio is like a user interface that allows you to work on your database intelligently without having any technical skill as such. So it allows you to create database and do all stuff without so much technical background. All right. So we have that, and then we now have this sample vehicle auction. Now you agree with me that most of the data that you have on your day-to-day activities, your workplace and all that looks very much like this. Okay, and it looks like a table. So this has vehicle registration number, the make of the vehicle, the asset code, the state, the date purchased, the price purchased, the 10% purchase price, and then the asking price plus 10% capital. So the idea is, looks like you've got a list of vehicles that want to put on auction because they seems to have stayed beyond a particular period of time. Maybe they've depreciated to the point that they now have a zero value to the organization. I mean, the accountants here will understand that depreciation thing better. I think, Catherine, you will understand that better. Are you with me?
Yeah, yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
Hey, just a quick question.
Okay.
Why is on your table there, you've got the purchase price for the top one of 1980 something, I think. Is that right? Can you just zoom in a little bit? Sorry, it's a little bit small on my screen.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. So it's
10%
19,000. They look
deposit.
That's fine. I've got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Okay, so you have.
That's it. I can see it a little bit.
Okay. Okay, maybe I should do this. Sorry. Yeah, this makes it better, right?
I can see it now. Thank you. That's great.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. So what we want to do here is, how do you think we could convert this into, we want to create a database from this, and we want to create data tables. So looking at this, what data tables do you think we could we could create from this. Let's just look at the columns, only the column. Registration, make, asset code, state, date purchased, price purchased, asking price. What are the things that you think we could make from here? The tables that we could make from here.
For me, I think working from left to right, I think your SN number could be, you'd almost disregard that, I think, wouldn't you? Because each item would have its own ID number anyway.
Okay, thank you.
But I think vehicle reg, make, and assets, state, etc. could either be free, certainly for the first three, they're probably just text fields.
Okay.
State, I don't know if... I'm trying to remember the data fields from earlier, but I don't know whether or not.
Yeah, so let's just make this. Let's assume this is region. I mean, because this was.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's assume this is region or maybe town, or let's say town.
Location.
Location. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Location.
I from a previous data field, just trying to remember from earlier.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that could be some kind of a choice field, or it's a text field.
Okay. So you're right, but what I'm looking at here is to say that it looks like, from a database design perspective, it looks like we've got three types of data on this spreadsheet. Okay, the first type of data we have is, and when you look at data, you look at information. So we've got information about vehicle, which is the registration number and the make. Do you agree with me? Mm-hmm. Okay. We could have more. Now, we have information about locations. That's another one. Okay. Date purchase is also part of information about the vehicle. The price purchased is another information. Okay, and then 10% purchase price. Let's even just look at. We can leave that. We can look at the asking price. So we can call this the selling price. Okay. And then we can make it this. All right. So it therefore means that at least on this table, on this Excel sheet, we've got 2 tables, and then the third one might be the asset. I hope I'm making sense. I hope I'm not confusing you. Please, if I am, let me know. So you have assets. So we have, when you look at this, you can group the information on this table into 3 things. Okay. The first is about registration, vehicle information, asset information, and location information. Those are the 3 things that we have on this table. Mark, please, your hands is up.
I think that was from earlier.
Oh, okay, that's right. Legacy hands. Okay, that's okay. So based on that, we're going to now try to create our database based on that information that we have. I'm trying to be more practical as possible so that you can relate this to what you are currently doing. I'm sure a lot of us will have Excel somewhere that you're currently using. Okay, so let's push this down. We've identified 3 things. So the first is that you come into the database tree. Here is a tree now menu, and then you can right click on this database, and then you click on new database. Okay, when you click on new database, then it comes up with a pop-up, a small window where you're going to put in your database name. So let's say auction database, vehicle auction. Okay, and then when you do that, just click on OK. All right, And then you see now that you have your vehicle auction here, okay, as a database. So you have it here. And please let me know if you can't see it very well. Can you see it very well? It's too tiny.
I've just moved it onto a bigger screen.
Okay. Yeah, because it looks a little bit. Yeah, it looks a little bit tiny. And I'm trying to see.
I've zoomed in.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's a way I could make it bigger. But it's looking like that seems not to be possible. But let's just continue. Okay. So under that, just look for tables. So you have tables. Don't bother about system table files and all that. Just don't bother. All you need to do is right click on that table, and then you see some sub menu comes up, and then you click on new, and then you click on table. All right. That way it gives you an option to start creating your columns. You remember I said the last time that the column is like a blueprint. Okay, a blueprint of your table. And you remember we also said that there are three important main components of relational database. That is the table, the relationship, and the keys. Okay, so the first thing we want to do here is to identify the columns for this particular table. So we want this table to be the vehicle table. Okay, so remember we need to start with ID, something that is going to make that table unique. Okay, now an ID usually from everything that we have done is what data type is a number. All right, so you look through here, and most of the time is a single number. Single is like is a whole number. So integer is what represents whole number. So you can have different type of number. So in this case, just look for integer. So this is integer, int. All right. Do you want it to allow null? No, it shouldn't allow null. Okay. Now you remember that IDs, from what we have learned before, they are usually primary keys. Okay, so you want to come here into the properties. So this is what defines the properties of that column. All right, and you want to specify that this column ID is a primary key, and this is where you do that from. Okay, so you come in here and you say this ID is identity. So you make it yes. All right, you just say yes, it's an identity. And because it's an identity, it has to be different. So it gives you the ability to specify the identity seed. So the identity seed just tells you that for each record you insert into that table, is going to automatically increment it by 1. All right, meaning that every record in that table will always be unique. And those are some of the things that we talked about the other time. Okay, so we've done that, and then the next thing you'll need to do is now to go to other details. So we want to look at the next thing, which is more like registration number. Registration. Usually it's good to have underscore, you know, when you're having two words together, you know, just to make it look good. And because this is more of a test, okay, you make it test. Usually in SQL Server, relational database, they are nvarchar. Okay, so you just make it nvarchar, and you specify how long you want it to be. Usually 10 registration numbers are no more than 10 digits. Okay, so we want to make it 10 digits. All right. And then what other thing do we think we need on this table? Let's come back here. We need the make. All right. So we have to, you have to put this vehicle make. Sorry. Make. And this make is also test. So we can make it mvarchar. And because it can be more than up to, let's just say it's 100. That is the number of character that we can have. All right. What other thing do you think we could have on that? Let's come back to this. Asset code. No, we don't need the asset code here. Okay, let's leave the asset code out. Dates purchased and price purchased and asking price. Those are the three things we need. So we need date purchased, purchased, price purchased, okay, then we need asking price, okay. Now, because we want to create another table for location, all right, we need to begin to look at how we are going to reference the location in this table. So we're going to have location underscore ID, all right, and that is supposed to be integer. I hope I'm not confusing you. Catherine, are you still with me? Mark, Afiz?
So far, it's just your data types.
Yes, just the data
data
type. Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's why running practical session online can be interesting somehow, you know. Okay, so let's go ahead. Asking price. This is supposed to be more like currency. Okay. So in this situation, because we're going to have we could have this usually is not going to be a whole number, okay? So we can make it decimal. All right, so that is the best thing here. So we have decimal. 18.2 means we could have 2 decimal places, okay? And then price purchased, the same thing, anything that has to do with price. Then this is date. You remember we talked about date time the other time. So what we're going to do is just to look for date. So this is date. Okay. All right. And that is all for now. Okay. So once we are done, we just click on save. This is save here. Okay. Save table. So when you click on it, then it tells you to input a name for it. Usually, we don't just, there's usually a TBL prefix for a table because in a database, there are other objects. I mean, that's a little bit advanced, but don't just take it as if there is usually in best practices, there is usually a prefix of TBL when you are creating a table. So this is going to be TBL vehicles. Okay. And then you click on OK. All right. And then you see that this is now a TBL vehicle. So
sorry, where did you go to name it? Where did you click to name it?
Okay. I only clicked here, save this. I clicked this.
Just to save. Okay.
Yeah. I just clicked that save. Yeah. That's what I did. Now, so we have our table. So you could refresh this. So you could just do refresh. And when you do that, you see this is the table here now. TBL vehicles. All right. You could right click on it and say select top 100 or something. So when you do that, it's just going to show you a select statement and the table. So there's nothing here already, nothing here. I mean, so this is a table with a column but no row. So it's still a table, but it doesn't have row. So we only have the framework, the blueprint, just as I said earlier on. Okay. So we're going to go quickly to create another table. So we do new table, okay? And so the table we want to create, again, remember, we start with ID. And then the next thing we want to do is the location. So we want to do location. So location name, underscore name. We might also want to put a description. Location description. Okay. So description is going to be, just like we said earlier on, n varchar could be up to 100. Location name, n varchar, maybe let's say it's 50. This is supposed to be integer. Okay. Just as I've identified before. And then we make this a primary key. So all we want to do here is to come into, you remember, identity specification. Okay, and then we say it's an identity. We just make it one, and that's all. So if you remember very well, where do I have to click to save this as a table? You remember? I'm going to click on this. Are we together? Wow. Mark, Stella, are you still there?
Yeah.
Stella?
I'm with you. I can click your save.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm just following.
Okay, Katie B, are you there? Katie B. Oh my goodness. Looks like we've lost Katie
Oh,
B.
yes, I'm listening.
Listening. But you still can't see the screen, can you?
No, I can't.
You can now.
No, I can't.
Oh my goodness. Okay, no problem. Then I could just click on this. Save. And then it comes up with this. And then we can have TBL underscore location. Okay? That makes it interesting. So we come back here and then we do a refresh. Then we've got two tables. Okay? So we've got two tables here now. And the third table we want to look at, let's go back to that Excel sheet. The third table we want to look at is assets. So we just want to say asset location, the asset table. So we could create something that looks like that too, and say this is a new table, and then we have ID. Okay, we have asset description, asset code. Okay, asset description, asset code. Okay, so let's just leave it that way. And then we can now have this as an ID. And then we could have, oh, sorry. This is supposed to be integer rather. This is integer, asset description, varchar, and varchar. And let's make it maybe 100. And then we can make this varchar 50. Okay. And again, we just say, and then we can have TBL asset info, something to just keep the asset information. Okay, so that makes it work. All right, so again we come in here and then we can refresh the entire database, and if we do that, we come to the tables, and then we have all the three information in there. Okay, so let's start with location. Let's just look at this this Excel sheet, and then we start with location. So let's come in here, location, edit top 200 rows. Okay, so it means that on this location we can actually, you know, from here input some information in there. So what we do is let me bring this a little bit to this side and then bring this here so that we could see it a bit. Okay, so we want to input information about maybe the first three location here. So let's say the first is Leicester, right? Location name Leicester, Leicester rather, and then we want to have a description. Somewhere a town, a city in the East Midlands. I mean, this is just hypothetical actually, but it gives you an idea of what we're trying to do. So when you leave that, it already pushes that in there, so it's saved. And you see that it already assigned this as number 1, you know, so it gives this an automatic hiding primary key. So the next is, let's look at leads. Okay, and then we can have a description, another description. Okay, I'm just going to use another. I'm going to go to the third one. The third one is Bristol. Okay, Bristol. Then we have, another description. Okay, so this is done now. So we have information about the location. Okay, so the next thing we want to go to is, let's go to the asset information. Okay, so we also right click on it and say edit the first 200 table rows, and then here we could just bring in this asset ID. For instance, let's just put in this asset. So this asset code, then you just put it here, and then we can have some form of asset description. Let's see, let's say asset for Joe. General assets for this type of car, for instance. Okay, and then we can move to the next, and let's say we pick this guy. I'm just trying to show you how this works in real situation. Control X, and I put it here. Okay, so this is general asset for maybe 504 Boxer. Okay, so let's say this is Peugeot 504, and then this is for Boxer. Okay, so let's, looks like we didn't make this an auto increment. So we have to go back to this asset info. Where is it? So we have design. We go back to the design, and then this integer is supposed not to allow null. Okay. Identity specification. You see, we did not specify it as a primary key, so that's why it did not. So we have to do that, and then we have to save. Okay, so we have to go back. You cannot insert null, so we've got to go back into there And okay, so we go back to the asset table. Cannot insert null into this. Okay, so there's a bit of a problem there, but I mean, it's just the way we created that. We're gonna cut 1 second. At the top. Sure. Okay. Okay, so that works now. So we have that in place, and then we can now go to the final one, which is the vehicles. Okay, so we can now have edit top 200. Now we can now see how this information comes together. Looking at the primary keys and the foreign key the other day, that we looked at the other time. So let's again come back to 1 second. Let's come back to this. So registration number. So this is the registration number. We can pick that. So this is a little bit more hypothetical anyway, but then that's still fine. Vehicle make, because we already have different, so this is 504. Okay, so we could put in the vehicle make in here. Where is it? Vehicle make. So dates purchased. What date is that? We need to be careful sometimes. Okay, so it's kind of formatted it on its own. Then price purchased. Let's look at that. I mean, we in real situation we don't have to do this. It's usually a system that will populate these. Maybe populate from an Excel or populate from another interface. But this is just showing you how that backend look like. So, and then we have price purchase, and then we have the asking price, which is this. I'm just going to go with, okay, so this is asking price, and then we have location ID. So we can now come back in here to look for the location. So this location is Leicester, right? So here, what is the location that we have here? Where is Leicester here? Select, let's just say at the top. So Leicester here is 1, okay? So which then means that this is now going to be 1, just the same way we looked at it the last time, okay? And that's simply is it. So let's do the second one. This is Boxer. Just so that you just see how this works. And then the second one is sorry. Let me pick it up. I know this is the interesting bit, boring bit. And then we can now have the dates purchased. Let's just look at that. Dates purchased, where is it? You see now that here, the date format on this Excel is different. But here, automatically the database already helped to put the format in the same way, or in the same format, because we have identified the data type. Okay, so it just helps us to put it in a way that is easily identifiable. And then we have this, and then we have this, since it is so we can have this. Okay, let me see. Okay, acting price, let me just pick it. Okay, so that I'm not gonna guess it. And then let's look at the location. Where is that location here? The location is in Leeds. And where do we have Leeds here? Leeds is number 2. So we're going to have Leeds, something as 2 here. Okay. So, data in row 2 was not committed. Okay. Sometime yeah. So this is meant to be correct the errors and press escape to go. So there must be a problem somewhere.
Is it possibly the purchase price not being at 2 decimal places?
Yeah, maybe. So you see why this is interesting now is that it ensures that you have that consistency, and that's the importance of the database. I mean, one of the benefits. So we have to, and don't think this is very tedious, because on a good day, you're not going to be inputting values into the database manually. I mean, so this is just, I'm just doing this so that you have an idea of how this works. So let's just give it, let's give it a go again. Let's give it a go again. Oh, you see? So for as many times as we failed that insert, that's why it has done auto increment to 8. But then there's no problem at all. Let's continue. So we now have the vehicle make, which is Boxer, and then we have the date purchase. Date purchase, where is it? Which I already, I mean, for the purpose of this, I want to pick another date that is, so that we see that is going to format it into the required date, you see. And then we look for the asking price. For that, sorry, purchase price, and then the asking price. And I think leads on that place is 2. Okay, and so we've got it, and that is it. So we've got all our tables. We've got the vehicle table, we've got the asset table, and then we've got the location table. Okay, and so we could see so let's look at the relationship here as a way, I mean, just to see what we've done before. So we have this location ID. So this location ID, what is it here? This is a foreign key here. And this location ID foreign key is actually pointing to, oh, sorry, I need to bring it in here. Okay, so this is pointing to location here. So there are different locations here. And then the asset information here. Interestingly, we didn't include the assets in this vehicle. So we're supposed to have another asset ID, something like that. So we could do that. Let's go back. Yeah, it doesn't matter. So we can go back to the design, and then we have asset ID. Asset ID, and then we make it an integer. Okay, and then we save it. All right. So when we come back to assets into vehicle, we could refresh. Where is it? Okay, worst case scenario, we're going to close it and reopen it again. Vehicles rather, at the top 200. Yeah, so we have the column for the asset there, and then we can decide which asset it is. So here, 1 and 2, obviously. So we can come back here and just make it asset 1 and asset 2. Yeah, I hope this makes sense. I know you might struggle with it a bit, but it's just so you see how these things play out at the end of the day. So you know that the goal really, when we started, was to make you see how to appreciate how database organize data using this SQL Server, not just for you to appreciate how it organizes data, but also to illustrate. So this is the illustration bit that we're having to show now. So this looks so much like what we have here. So 1 second, let me go back to what we had the last time. So you 1 minute, let me just, okay, so you remember this. Okay, so this and this, you know, have some similarities now. Okay, so if we bring this down now, oh, it's too small. Oh, stay there. Yeah, so if we bring this down a little bit, a little bit, and then I bring this here, sorry, and I make this smaller. So if you look at this, so these are the tables. So just imagine we have the customer, we have the order, we have the menu, okay, and then we have the, maybe we could have even used this particular one to create the table, you know, so that you see it in real how this looks like, because I thought you were able to pick this example better. But then we could just relate it. So this, let's just assume that we have these 3 tables: the asset table, this is vehicle, this is the asset, and then we have the final one, which is the location table at the top. Yeah, so we have the asset, we have the location, and then we see how they interact. So in this particular one, we see that it's only the vehicle table, you know, that has foreign keys. So it has primary key, this is primary key, and then the foreign keys. This relates, you know, creates a relationship between the vehicle and its location, and then the vehicle and its assets. All right. And that is that about this. Do we have question? I don't want to overflog this. I just want to be sure you have an idea of what I'm doing. Does this sound very complicated? Catherine? Now it is
see-
quiet like a grave.
I see where all the information that I get from my tables comes in, and I see the structure, but I don't understand what all the column fields mean. So it's sort of knowing that bit and knowing why you need to set certain fields into certain categories. And then obviously when you run the query, it's knowing what.
Yeah.
If you see that, then you know where the data's come from.
Oh, thank you, Afis. Afis just installed SQL Server Management Studio, and that works. Thank you. That's great. Yeah. Oh, your microphone is not working, but that's fine. I could see what you have done. Thanks. Thanks so much. Stella, I want to put you on the spot again. Does it sound like Hebrew to you or something that is so foreign? Are you there, Stella?
Hebrew. It sounds like Hebrew to me.
Oh my. What can I do to make it look like English?
For me, I need to go over it. It's good you're recording it, so.
Okay, but then it just makes you appreciate what is possible. Do you? I mean, so even if you don't understand it, I believe understanding the theoretical aspect of it gives you the foundation that you need. Okay, that's great. Katy B, you can't even see the screen, so I don't know where to start from.
Yeah, but no, I'm trying to follow attentively so that when I can, and I'm writing some notes so that when I can see, then I can sort of try to understand. But it's all good.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for encouraging me. And Mark, your feedback. What do you think?
I think it's a very difficult topic to cover. Certainly remotely.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm struggling with is why you would need a table in your scenario for assets.
Yeah.
If an asset is unique, as in the like almost like a vehicle registration number would be unique, wouldn't an asset then be tied just simply to the vehicles table? I can understand why you'd want to separate locations, because then you've got that from a pick list, because you've got repeats. There's lots of vehicles in Leicester. There's lots of vehicles in Nottingham, for example. But I'm struggling to understand why you would have a separate table for a unique
asset.
Basically for an asset.
Yeah.
Unique asset.
You're absolutely spot on. And you're correct, 100%. You are. I mean, we don't need the table for assets. That's spot on. The only reason why I'm doing that is because I just wanted to follow through the example we've discussed earlier. I mean, while you were not here, so that we see the possibility of relating three tables together. Okay.
Okay.
And I mentioned earlier on something around normalization. Okay, which we didn't cover. So. And that is what we are going into now. The rule of normalization does not allow us to have that table of assets, So that table is really not important. It's redundant, really. And you are spot on. Perfect. Absolutely correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
But no,